The screen, a window to another world. To a child, it brings wonder and joy. However, it can be a terrible corrupter. Something that leads them astray, gives them the wrong idea, or even opens the door to forces we aren't aware of, nor understand. The scariest part, however, is discovering this after the fact. To know this artifact of a bygone time has run its course and done what it did. And you can't change it. Rather, you can only marvel at what it's done. Hello everybody, it's me, Dregobob. Welcome to yet another video on the channel. As you know, today's video will be covering Lucy's bedroom once again, as it's gotten a fresh new content update. If you're here off the back of my previous video covering Lucy's bedroom, welcome back! If you're here from the official archive channel or Olive Green's channel, welcome to my channel. This series was originally recommended to me by one Olive Green themselves, the creator, I mean fan of the series. I've been waiting quite a while for the second wave of content on the series, so here we are. As is the norm with these videos, we'll be covering what we know so far first. So let's dive back into the original wave of content for the series. I'd also like to note, everything is available to explore and discover now if you'd like to look yourself first. On top of this, I won't be going into extreme detail on what we saw last time, since you can just go back and give that a quick watch too. But if you don't want to go and watch the previous video, what I tell you here should give you all you need to know, albeit in a bit of a diluted sense. Lucy's bedroom presents itself as your average, happy-go-lucky children's cartoon. The show itself, and most attached media is so high quality in fact, that I really believe this show could have really been something on air back when it was said to have been, well, on the air. Speaking of, in-universe, Lucy's bedroom was airing in the early 2010s, and had an active community on the forum called Haystack, where fans of the series often came to talk about, of course, the show. And it's besides the main video itself that we gain the bulk of all info on the series and the strange happenings surrounding it. The main video we discover all of this resulting information doesn't really give us anything notable. Nothing but an EAS alert and some comments on the event from the creator and this odd bleed-through featuring a face. What this is or means as of now, I'm unsure. It's actually in this first video, we get our link to the Haystack website, and using some deduction and common sense, we land up discovering the thread relating to the original episode titled Storm, where most of the thread is dedicated to the strange bleed-through or hijacking. Interestingly enough, we also see Olive Green here too, with them talking about the severe weather warning they also had. And the rest of the thread doesn't really bring anything too useful to us either. That is until we find one user named Caspode, an obvious play on the word passcode, who, interestingly enough, capitalizes faves and question. These are very obviously thread names, so in faves, we get info on an incident that took place, where someone went missing. Though, interestingly enough, a site mod quickly shuts the topic down, and later the whole thread after some folks start getting thirsty over a character named Mrs. V. Moving on, the thread question is opened up by a user named Egg Sandwich asking if anyone else finds things weird. But instead of it being profound or building on the lore, people do what people do and question the logic of a children's show. This entire convo is then completely derailed when a deleted user states Lucy caused multiple storms to happen. This same user noting that these odd storms happen each time the episode Storm aired. They even say there are people in this forum that have been in the said situation. After this, we then see another user named Remove Lucy say a child went missing while watching the show too. They say it even happened while they were watching the show, and no body was ever found. Later, we even see Viper Skull noting that everything done in the episode is bad advice for storms. And if you didn't know, Lucy and Dustin both do things that aren't smart in this kind of scenario. Lucy hiding under the sheets, and Dustin opening and even leaving the window open while previously shouting at the storm. So I believe that much. Though, just before this thread comes to a close, we again see our favorite user Caspode asking about a game. It's in that last thread. We find a user, Snotclot, talking about a game demo posted by Chiptunes themselves, one that was pulled oddly quick. To spare you all of the more boring details, it's in this game we discover even more conspiracy. This game's hidden event tying most of everything we've seen thus far together. As at the end of this game, upon completing a certain set of tasks, we can escape the boundaries of Lucy's bedroom and escape outside, where we can discover a giant computer. As I said in the last video regarding this series, skip to this timestamp if you're photosensitive or have epilepsy. If you didn't hear, I repeat, skip to this timestamp on screen if you're photosensitive or have epilepsy. All clear? Here we go. This segment reveals that what was being said on the forum was no coincidence, or fan of a show being a fan of a show, as we see an excerpt from a news report talking about a series of 50 tornadoes ravaging the south of the United States. This further lines up with when Olive Green was watching the show, and when the forum began talking about the strange happenings. And with over 50 tornadoes recorded between the 25th and 27th of April, it's hard to imagine there weren't fatalities. Another thing I noted in the previous video was how this event mirrors a 2011 super outbreak from our real world. However, instead of it simply being an act of nature and God, it's due to something this children's program did, albeit on a less destructive scale, as our real world counterpart had over 175 documented tornadoes that struck Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee. On top of this, we're given a final message from someone, likely close to Chiptunes, who's probably responsible for all of this hidden content, and the sole reason this game was pulled so quickly from the Chiptunes website.
The truth is out there. Peter Hughes is a corrupt, twisted monster. It's all a cover-up done by Chiptunes. I've seen the evidence, and I know the law. Don't let them make fools out of you too. Pull the damn show off the air before it kills again. To anyone from Chiptunes watching this, I'll see you in hell.
With that, we're currently at the start of the next wave of content, which has 2 new videos, and likely even more hidden away within the Haystack forums. Now, if you'd like to take a deeper look into what I've just said, the video is again just on my channel and ready to view. So let's head into this new content, starting with this short Q&A. Besides some rather cute info relating to the characters we've seen and haven't seen, we don't get all too much. Though the most important bits of info we gain are in regards to Olive Green's Tumblr and Twitter account, as well as a small interaction they have with another account in the comments. One that from my searches hasn't gleaned us anything too interesting, but I'll be sure to check again. As for their interaction, I'll read it now.
Dude, I've been looking for these forever. I used to hit so many garage sales looking for holy grail tapes like Unico's Adventures and Lucy's Bedroom and the Felix the Cat movie. But I only ever found Felix. So pumped to see Lucy's Bedroom archived, even if there are a few sound issues. Blessed be the archivists. I hope you don't mind me asking, but did your parents tape anything from Safety Week? Chiptunes hyped it up so long, and then I had to go to Virginia with my family and miss the whole thing. Good times. The only promo I remember were these Q&A ones, and the little bumpers to tease future episodes. I don't remember any Safety Week adverts, but I could easily be misremembering. You know, I don't think I've seen any physical media for Lucy's Bedroom at all. I've looked on eBay and other sites, but I haven't seen any DVDs, plushies, fast food tie-ins, or anything. My mind is very fuzzy on it, but I can't help but find that a little odd. If so many people had so many fond memories of it, yet there was no way to preserve it through merchandise,
Why would a company not sell physical media of their brand? Guess it just makes my grandma's plush all the more special. This provides us with more insight on chiptunes and another interesting tidbit. Delcat mentions missing an event called Safety Week due to having to go to Virginia with their family. This fact is interesting again because depending on when exactly this took place, it could have easily been airing alongside the episode Storm. So their trip could have easily been the reason they avoided what had happened with the mass tornado outbreak caused by the show. As for Olive Green, they talk about only recalling the little Q&A bumpers to tease future episodes. As for physical media, they say they haven't seen any at all, and that they've searched around all over the place, but haven't seen a single DVD, plush, or even fast food tie-in. Which, they're right. It is odd that a children's show wouldn't have things like that. But another thing to note is how their mind is fuzzy about it all. Not only that, but they also own a Lucy's plush their grandma gave to them. In theory, this could mean a few things. But I feel the strangest thing about it is how the show had no merchandise beyond the show itself. But before we leave the Q&A, let's take a look at Olive Green's social media. It's here on their Twitter account that we get a handful of posts, each relating to Lucy's bedroom in some way, shape, or form. I'll now read through each of these posts.
Was digging around in my attic and found this really old plushie I got for my birthday. I always loved watching Lucy's bedroom as a kid, so my grandma made me a little plushie. Never see anyone talk about the show anymore. Might see if I have any episodes saved on my old TV.
This first post talks about the Lucy's plush we've seen in the current videos on Olive Green's channel, where it was made by their grandmother, which completely destroys any chance of the idea their grandmother may be some important figure in chiptunes, which, to begin with, was rather funny. It's just a nice thing a grandmother made for their grandchild. Next post.
You know, I don't think I've seen any physical media for Lucy's bedroom at all. I've looked on eBay and other sites, but I haven't seen any DVDs, plushies, fast food tie-ins, or anything. My mind is very fuzzy on it, but I can't help but find that a little odd. If so many people had so many fond memories on it, yet there was no way to preserve it through merchandise, why would a company not sell physical media of their brand? Guess it just makes my grandma's plush all the more special.
This message seems to be a copy of the one we read prior on their YouTube channel in response to that one post. However, they do note that they searched up and down for Lucy's merch and also find it odd that chiptunes wouldn't want to further advertise and make more cash with merch. So there's not really anything of note to add here besides that. Next, they talk about feeling sick and that there's a new episode of Lucy's coming tomorrow, leading us to the next two posts. This one, however, is odd. It tells us about how exactly Olive got the tape.
With the new video out, I want to stress that I do not agree with the way the video was edited. This was the only way for me to get the video out, and I still question if it was the right thing to do. I won't name who this was, but they and I are no longer in contact. With that, let's get on to the string of messages. Thank you for reaching out. Yeah, I got an episode. It's recorded on my old laptop. How did you first hear about Lucy's? I knew about it when it aired and used to be on the forums. I have a full episode saved somewhere. That's so cool! Which one is it? I need to find it. Probably at my dad's. We'll be in touch. Found laptop. I can edit it for you. That's alright. If it's in good enough shape, I should be able to upload it myself. No. I'll edit it. Oh. Well, let me know when it's done then, I suppose. Yeah. I can't post this. You wanted the episode, right? Yeah, but not like this. This is a total invasion of privacy, and I can't just post this, you know? No, actually don't. You wanted this and you got it. Excuse me? It's even blurred out. Look, no harm, no foul. You have the episode. Post it. You really don't see anything wrong with this? Why did you say include their age? What does that serve? I feel sick. Is it up? I've scheduled it. I added something at the start to say you made it. Okay. Now, can you tell me why you felt the need to add that stuff? You really don't know what this was, do you? How much this show did to people? What could this show have possibly done that justifies the inclusion of that? Lol. Hope your fans like it, Olive Green. I'm blocking you. Olive Green. Olive Green. Olive Green.
This person Olive Green lands up talking to certainly sounds like they have problems. Right now, the what this person added to the video is an unknown, but it's obviously something personal or incredibly sensitive. At least it's disturbing or upsetting enough for Olive Green to want to block them in the end and repeatedly question them. As for this anonymous messenger, I feel they could be one of the members of the forum. You see several people aware of things Lucy's Bedroom as a program did to the places it aired, but I feel Remove Lucy would be the best fit if they were anyone on the forum. Though it's likely we won't see anything else about them due to them being blocked by Olive. With that, let's move on to the episode given to us by this Anon. First, we'll take a glance at the description.
Hi again, everyone. So sorry for the delay. I swear I've been trying to find as much Lucy's Bedroom as I can. Things just got really busy on my end, and this search is a lot harder than I first thought. I have been looking, but nothing's been turning up. There's been no reselling of any physical media from the show. The actors haven't been heard of in anything after the show. Peter Hughes isn't mentioned on any website that talks about cartoons, and I can't seem to find any more evidence on haystackarchive.com. When I look, maybe I just don't have the right words? I even tried looking up the name of the studio, but it seems like it doesn't exist anymore. It must have been torn down at some point. It surely must have existed. Very odd. It was a complete dead end before I was contacted by someone who I will be keeping anonymous. They had a screen recording of an episode saved on an old laptop of theirs, and were able to get it to me. We agreed it would be uploaded on my channel, with the edit they made for it. This edit is not mine. All I edited was my typical introduction, which was also agreed upon. I have since cut contact with this individual. If you have any other ideas where I can find more about the show, please message me. I can't promise a reply to them all, but I can confirm I'll read what I can. Thank you for your patience.
Interestingly enough, we learn here that the actors, studio, and even the creator of the show themselves have no mention outside of the cartoon itself. On top of what we already knew about the lack of any physical media or merchandise. Again, we're also drawn towards Haystack. So after the episode, we'll look there again. The episode opens, of course, with the disclaimer from Olive Green. At the end of the intro, we even get an extra snippet of text, though it purposefully cuts off sooner than the rest of the text. It reads,
I'm not sure if we should be making this public, especially with the way they edited it, but this was the only way they would let me.
Of course, we already knew that much. By the looks of it, this episode is a Halloween episode, titled Lucy's Bedroom Yarns Mystery. I also inferred this thanks to the video's thumbnail, and also because in this episode, Lucy and Dustin are both wearing costumes. Lucy's dressed up as the Tooth Fairy, and Dustin's a vampire. How cute. In the episode, Lucy and Dustin both decide to share scary stories. While Dustin is prompted to share first, something seems to be troubling him, much like Lucy in the original episode of the series. So Lucy inevitably lands up being the first to share a scary story. The story being one passed down for select generations in Lucy's own family, which turns out to be a shorter, much darker retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, which I'm sure everyone's heard, with the only difference being the wolf quite enjoys their granny getup, and in the end, they violently shred Little Red Riding Sock to shreds. I really like how Lucy adds the
never heard from again.
Gee. Quite a nice touch. However, it's just after this, we're interrupted by what I can only assume is one of the unwanted edits made by the user who gave Olive Green this second video, which unfortunately cuts off quite a bit of the episode. So let's read it.
People in archived forums question why this aired in May 2011. Many on the forums agreed this would have been best for Halloween.
especially when something even scarier happened. We're then brought back to the episode mere moments before we hear Dustin's story. We're interrupted by this emergency broadcast, but instead of the EAS broadcast being another storm warning, it's a missing persons broadcast talking about the abduction of a child. The child's name is Mason Smith, age 8, white male, blue eyes, brown eyes, 64 pounds, wearing a blue shirt. However, the information relating to where they were at the time of their disappearance is completely blurred out. The only word I'm able to make out is park. We're then taken out of the episode by messages from this user. The location of the child is still unknown. They would have been 22 today. And with that, we're brought back to the episode. The tail end of the episode. By the sounds of it, whatever story Dustin told Lucy, it was scary enough to shake the poor sock to their core, to leave them tossing and turning while Dustin knocked out as soon as they touched the bed. With this episode over, it's time to look back at the forum. Though I'd like to note, there's something chilling about seeing an old missing persons report, especially one that went unresolved. Chances are, the person in said result were important to the editor in some way, or they were just someone radicalized by the idea of the show being a part of the cause. Or maybe it's completely unrelated, and they were using this video as a way to get it out there more. Nevertheless, let's hop onto the site and search up the episode's name. And, of course, we're brought to a new thread, one titled Yarns. Just like Storm, a fair bit of this thread is dedicated to excited and happy fans talking all about how much they like the newest episode. On top of that, we also get references to the parts of the episode we ended up missing due to the forced interruption by the video's creator. Besides the fact the episode's ending was creepy, we also learned that, like Dustin, Mr. Drawer can really rhyme. And the story Dustin ends up telling is likely one that we can assume is traumatic for Dustin as well. But the explanation for that comes later. It's a bit lower down on the board. We discover people talking about the alert that came through on the episode the day it aired. It's just a bit below this. We also get the password for the full episode, including the parts we'd missed. So, with that, let's pause our look here and take a gander at the sections of the episode we missed. Namely, the 2 stories we didn't get to hear.
Anyway, why don't you tell me your scary story? I know you've been holding on to a really good one.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, come on! Tell me! I told you mine!
But Lucy, my scary story, it's...
Will you two keep it down?
Ah! Whoa, Mr. Drawer! You shouldn't sneak up on people like that.
I have been here the whole time. You two just never noticed.
Ooh, do you have a scary story, Mr. Drawer?
Very well. I'll give you a story. Once upon a Sunday morning, as I rested, sleeping, snoring, catching up on rest, important that I get some more. Whilst I enjoyed my nodding, it was then I heard a knocking, softly bonking, taunting me upon the bedroom door. It's nothing I should just ignore. It's only this and nothing more. But while my eyes were closing, no, the noise, it was not lowering, no, it rose up, only growing more than it before. I had no more patience left, I simply must make it end. I had turned and only then I saw the awful knocking source. I asked, why must you keep knocking? Must you show no signs of stopping? Can't you go somewhere that's not here? Why keep knocking at the door? The source, a rabbit at the door, shrugged and said,
I guess I'm bored.
And thus resumed his hitting. His insistence wasn't quitting. He continued, I was sitting stuck to tune into his score. My napping would not happen with the instances of rapping, trapping me to hear his actions, and I shall rest nevermore.
Whoa, what a story.
Wait, isn't that what you were doing this morning, Dustin?
Oh, right. Good times.
No! Keep your antics silent when I am trying to sleep.
But you're always trying to sleep.
I'm glad we reached an understanding. Now hush.
Huh. Well, now it's your turn.
All right. Here it is. When I first came to be inside the bedroom, I wasn't alone. It wasn't just me and Mr. Drawer and occasionally Mrs. V, but there was someone else. They towered over everything in the bedroom. The ground trembled under their footsteps. They were able to do incredible feats, being able to move and rearrange this room's objects like they were nothing. It was as if the room belonged to them, and I was an unwanted guest. I had to spend my days hiding from them. Who knows what would happen if they were to catch me? Thankfully, eventually, they stopped coming. The room was back to its quiet serenity, and everything was peaceful yet again. Shortly after everything, I found you.
Wait, you mean that story?
While the first story confirms that while Dustin is an excellent musician, he's quite, dull. It doesn't exactly give us much by the way of substance or lore, though I now sympathize with Mr. Drawer quite a bit more knowing he has to deal with this on the daily. The second and final story we're told by Dustin gives us some more info on what humans are to Lucy and Dustin in the show. In the story, we watch as a young Dustin cowers, spending each day hiding from the giant that enters the bedroom. Its power, so impossibly grand it's able to shift and change the room as it pleases, up until the day they simply stopped coming into the bedroom altogether. And that's about it for the pieces of the episode we missed. So let's head back to the forum. In the yarns thread, we don't exactly get all too much else besides this cute piece of art of Lucy and Snotclot being a bit rude, causing the forum to inevitably get shut down. However, we aren't dead in the water just yet, as by entering alert in the search bar, we're brought to another thread, where we see a number of users, namely one Cloverboy1, talking about the missing persons broadcast that aired live back when the episode first came out, in May 2011. Funnily enough, Olive Green criticizes Clover a little for talking about that on the forum, when they brought up their own EAS experience in the original thread. Though, that's not important, as at one point, there was even a recording of this event that was presumably uncensored, courtesy of Cloverboy. However, it's since been deleted since it had his address on it. However, after this, another user named Hearts Donut provides a link to a censored video. In it, we discover that Mason Smith was last seen in a place called Bullwinster Park, a place that I can't seem to find anything about online, nor does there seem to be a thread dedicated to it on the forum. Users again begin to pick up on how strange it is things tend to happen to children when Lucy's is involved. One user saying,
"Remember those storms rolled in and people thought Lucy caused them?"
After this, a deleted user says,
"How do you know she didn't? It wasn't just one storm, you know."
Just after this, one Remove Lucy appears again.
"Wait, I just realized something."
We're then shown a screenshot showing a picture of the credits. In the credits is one read Smith. Smith being the last name is Mason Smith, the missing child from the broadcast. People in the forum go nuts at this revelation. People in the forum trying to question Cloverboy as to where exactly they live. Though, presumably being a child, they don't share their information, which is wise. This back and forth continuing until Noni Mouse, a forum mod, shows up, saying,
"Okay, I wish I'd stepped in earlier, but this is clearly not appropriate for this forum. I have no choice but to lock it off. Do not give your address to people on random forums, and do not talk about irrelevant things on forums. If you really want to do that, then take it to ForgeEdit."
ForgeEdit is likely a stand-in for Reddit, but I find it interesting they only stepped in when everyone in the thread began to put the pieces together and think there may actually be more to this cartoon than meets the eye. And then the thread is closed. Remove Lucy leaving things off by saying,
"I am not going to let another mod stop us from talking about this again."
And that would be the current dead end in terms of content had I not been randomly inputting things, as I discovered a credits page, a memes page, and one rather funny page you can access by saying a curse word. While the one involving curse words isn't important, memes of all things certainly is. While at first it's just a treasure trove of handmade Lucy's bedroom memes, including one in-universe YouTube poop of all things, Through it all, we even get what seems to be a sneak peek at an upcoming character. Though, just below this, the thread seems to bug out a bit, cutting out a bunch of different messages and dropping us headfirst into a discussion about Lucy's bedroom's meaning. But the most important thing here is a theory we're made aware of courtesy of Viper Skull, the person who made the YTP. Entering this phrase into the search bar, we're brought to a thread dedicated to the idea imaginary theory. A person named Thinkin' Keep, presenting the idea to us. I'll now read it to you. Alright, so I've been watching a lot of the show, as we all have, and I've started to put together a couple of pieces. After dozens of rewatches, I think I know the truth about Lucy's bedroom. I don't think Dustin exists. Lucy is a character that's gone through a ton. She lost her family in a washing machine, she's constantly stressed out over the smallest things, her brush, the weather, etc., and she has nobody to talk to about it. She's alone in the room, long forgotten. So much so that the dust has accumulated and insects are making their way inside. Lucy's vision is replaced half by a button too. I think this is an intentional reference to the 2009 movie Muddaline. In that movie, buttons are attached to the eyes of characters in order to keep them trapped inside of a purgatory-like room, full of, you guessed it, bugs and inedible food. They may not exist in the same universe, but I think we can see some very clear parallels in place to establish the story more. Let's talk about Mrs. V. She always wants the room to be clean and is always mad when things are dirty. So then, why would she even allow a dust bunny to live in the bedroom? We know she's not above taking care of creatures she deems to be messy. My theory is that Dustin is an imaginary friend built up out of the anxieties Lucy has been facing, similar to the dog in Muddaline. Dustin's whole point in the show is to be a friend to Lucy. He's always trying to keep her happy, shoo the storms that scare her, and judging from the teaser for the next episode, even plays dress-up with her. We also know that Dustin has special abilities that aren't seen in any other character. It's always Dustin's antics that cause Mr. Drawer to come to life too. We even see him breaking the fourth wall. Yet, even for all of this, he doesn't seem to know how things work. Storms, making food. He just doesn't grasp these concepts. He needs Lucy in order to tell him how things work. He needs Lucy to exist entirely. This is the only way to reasonably explain away all the odd things with Dustin. Many people try to explain the world or the backstory of the bedroom and characters, but I think Dustin is the most mysterious character. We don't even know where he came from, unlike Lucy. I think it's because Dustin came from Lucy herself. This is all just a theory, so let me know what you all think. The references to the film Muddaline are obviously a stand-in for Coraline in this universe. I've watched the films dozens of times since I was a kid, and I don't recall the dog, or in our world's case, the cat being make-believe or an imaginary friend. But I do take interest in the button metaphor. In Coraline, the buttons are used to keep people, notably children, trapped in the other mother's realm or dimension, so she can feed on them while they rot away within the secret room. Once they're gone, the process is repeated. When it comes to this show and Lucy's bedroom, we already know it has a bad track record with children. First, with the strange bleed-through we originally saw in the episode, that's likely related to the tornado that claimed the one child we see spoken about in the threads. Then later with Mason Smith, who has connections to Red Smith, one of the puppet makers. Either as their child, brother, nephew, or something else. What's important is that Mason was likely taken in the same area or state as the tornado victim, meaning at least the show's area of real influence is stuck to one place. As I was saying with the bleed-through, there's a very good chance that whatever this is could be a child. If anything, the show could be paranormal or anomalous in nature, as not only is it a children's show, but now that I think about it, both episodes depict scenarios that would be dangerous for children. Dustin standing in front of an open window during a heavy storm or tornado, and this one may be a bit of a stretch, but also Lucy's story of Little Red Riding Sock in the newest episode. in the story about Little Red Riding Sock talking to strangers in the form of the big bad wolf who'd broken into her grandmother's home and likely did away with their grandmother, whereafter LRRS was never heard from again. Both episodes dealing with subject matter that seemingly bleeds into the real world, by way of the massive tornado outbreak that occurred the day Storm aired, and the likely abduction of Mason Smith during the airing of the second episode or sometime before. But then, that leaves me to wonder about why the family member of someone who worked on the show was targeted. Or, at the very least, just seemed to go missing on the day the episode that had themes of Stranger Bad aired. Was the child who was a victim of the tornado also someone close to the show's production? If that's the case, could this be why nothing seems to exist in terms of info on the members of the show's production? Were they systematically picked off by this cursed show or whatever shady group made it? Were they sworn to secrecy? If any of these are the case, is this why the internet seems all but scrubbed of any mention of the show's production crew? There's also the secret ending of the game, as in the message, the show is explicitly pinned as the thing causing the disappearances, alongside Peter Hughes themselves, who's labeled as a corrupt and twisted monster. If the show is picking off cast and crew, what made it do so? And what exactly is the force behind it? Mason was never found, same with the tornado victim. One even more far-fetched theory involves their souls being more or less sucked into the show, which would explain the bizarre bleed-through that seemingly everyone saw when it aired live first. Looking back to the imaginary theory, I think the most important thing we can draw from it is the comparisons we get to Coraline. I got a bit off track with everything else back there, but one could imagine, much like the other mother, this show needs blood to fuel itself. So this idea and comparison could be exactly why children continue to disappear when the show's episodes air. This bleed-through is a glimpse into the fate of the children picked off by the force behind the show. Of course, I could also be completely wrong, and none of what I said is true in any regard. As of now, the mystery is only deepening, and I'm a tad afraid I haven't made the most sense in terms of theorization. I actually oftentimes don't ever bother to theorize like this out of fear of sounding like a fool or even upsetting the creators with my crackpot theories. If they do end up watching, of course. But the ingredients for solving this are very much here. Right now, we just don't have enough solid information to do so. There's only the comparisons I've been able to make to the mentioned media, and what's been shown to us thus far in the episodes, game, and forum. But you should expect I'll be covering the next installment of the project when it does come out ASAP. Right now, there should be art from people on my Discord server on screen right now. And I'd like to give this special thanks again to Olive Green for bringing this brilliant project to my attention. I only hope my rambling about my theories isn't too far off the deep end. If you liked the video or want to hear me ramble more about horror games and horror media, do subscribe. I also have a Discord server geared towards artists and community, where I at times host art comps with paid prizes and game nights that are made for everyone. Now, I'm Dregobob, hoping you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye-bye. I swear to God.